Last month, my grandpa passed away. He was 90 years old and he lived a wonderful life. He was a farmer and hardworking. I don't think I ever saw him lose his temper. Seriously, that's pretty amazing. He was just so steady and kind and good, and he was the oldest of 8 siblings. He lived on a century farm. He lived in the house that he was raised in and then later raised his family in. And what's really cool is there was a house that was, if I understood my grandma correctly, the house that he and my grandma lived in when they were first married was down the lane, down the gravel road. And I don't know who, a company, picked up the house and brought it onto the land of his childhood farmhouse, and it kind of became the grandma house. So when my mom was growing up, her grandma lived next door. Then when my aunts and uncles had kids and everything, they all shifted houses, and my grandparents moved into the grandma house. Later, they moved into town, and their siblings lived in the grandma house. Just very cool. Anyway, there were 8 siblings, and my grandma is the oldest of 3 siblings. And get this, so my grandma marries into my grandpa's family, right? Well, then her brother falls in love with my grandpa's sister. No way. Okay, 2 kids into the same family. It doesn't stop there. My grandma told me that her little sister Shirley came home from college and said, "I'm in love with Ralph." Well, Ralph was my grandpa's brother. All 3 of my grandma's, the kids in her family, married into the same family of 8 kids. I don't know that I've ever heard of that since. I don't think I've ever read a book about it. I think it's pretty incredible. So my mom grew up with double cousins, right? They would go to Christmas and there would be the 3 aunts and the 3 uncles and the cousins and grandma. And then essentially the whole group would go over to the Hoyt side and there would just be 5 more families. It was all the same people. Isn't that wild? Again, I just kind of took it for granted as a kid, but it's so unique. Every other year growing up, we would have a big Hoyt reunion. All double cousins, and so I know my mom's cousins and their kids, and a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them stayed nearby in the same town, and it's a very rich heritage, and it just makes me think about family. Well, 1 month ago, like I said, my grandpa died, and this week, my grandma's brother passed away from cancer, and 48 hours later, her sister passed away from cancer. Well, thanks to Facebook, I'm able to see all of their grandkids and children, tagging them in photos and giving tributes and memories. And I'm just so grateful that I get to see them and see everything that people are posting. It's very emotional. But at this time of year, with the holidays, with Christmas, it really recenters me. Because what really does matter? Family. Family matters, and at the end of my life, I want to be surrounded by my children and their spouses and my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, and I think my grandparents have given me such a great example to follow. My grandma is still living, and she is the hardest working person I've ever met. When I was young, I described her as the Energizer Bunny. I thought she just doesn't quit. I saw her volunteering and working at the church. She was a secretary. She would volunteer at the library. She was always taking people into her home. She had the biggest heart for anyone, especially outsiders, especially people who needed it. And you just knew that you were warm, you would get a warm welcome from my grandma. She was never going to turn anyone away. It was a phenomenal example. And her heart has to be breaking. To lose her husband, sister, and brother within a month, she said it's kind of like floating. It's very surreal. But I'm going to take that to heart, and I'm going to recenter my priorities for the rest of the month and really focus on my kids and my marriage. And, business never stops. And I'm sure that you're up to your eyeballs in details and unfinished projects and things you meant to get done and things that were your goal for 2018, thinking about next year and goals for 2019. And, let's just take a moment, let's just take a breather. Because honestly, nothing else matters but family. Not even the gifts or the wrapping or the decoration, not even the food, just being there. And I know family gatherings can be strained, they can be awkward, and by all means, if your family's not healthy, you start your own traditions with your own people that are healthy. I totally understand that. But let's lean in. Let's ask stories. Let's ask questions of our parents, our grandparents. Let them share their heritage with us. That's what this season is all about. So I just wanted to share that one more crazy tidbit that occurred to me this morning. So my grandma's the oldest in her family. She married an oldest in my grandpa's family. My aunt is the oldest in her family and the oldest cousin on both families. I'm the oldest girl in my family, and I'm the oldest cousin on one side and the oldest girl on the others. That's a lot of oldest child stuff going around, right? I thought, man, no wonder I'm as driven as I am. I can't even help it. I'm surrounded by oldest children, right? Anyway, that was just a fun extra tidbit for you. Have a great week and Merry Christmas.